Right, 1 November 2020, and I'm joined by Mr. Kalipani Pugeni, spokesman for the MDCT. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. How are you, Kambakwe, and the listeners at home or wherever they may be?
Okay, fantastic. And today we want to make it very quick. We don't want to take too much time.
Yeah.
So I want to start with a few questions that I've got.
Yeah.
And I would like the official position, obviously, as usual. And
Yeah.
I want to start with a very interesting development that happened during the week. I saw a document from the police banning the gathering of the MDCT for the Extraordinary Congress. Can you explain if that is the position and how the MDCT is going to hold the Extraordinary Congress?
Okay. Thank you so much. With your indulgence, please, can I just clear a few things? Remember last time I said it's an engagement. Otherwise, when your listeners or our listeners raise some of these things and there is no opportunity to address them, then it becomes a challenge. There are just two things. I'll be very quick, come back with. Number one, there's been reporting that has been going around social media to the effect that I came here to your show and repudiated our WhatsApp National Council meeting. There is no truth to that. You know better. We used to do these interviews live, me and you, live in the sense that we will be in the same vicinity, in a car or wherever. And because of COVID, we started doing them virtually. It doesn't make them less effective or less legit. It doesn't diminish the official positions of the party that I communicate by mere fact that they are virtual interviews. So in the same manner, I would never diminish meetings, our virtual meetings, because we know that because of COVID. As a matter of fact, as soon as President Tsvangirai appointed me as the ICT Secretary and Science Development back in 2015, that was January of 2015, I was already pushing for online meetings, especially of the National Council, because that would have accommodated our diaspora structures. I was pushing for that very, very strongly. So, yeah, no, there's no truth to that. Number two, I want to deal with a question that arose after our last week meeting, the interview. We were speaking of sanctions. Normally, me and you speak after these interviews. That day we didn't speak because, first of all, it cut. But on another phone, I was busy. We didn't speak there because I was busy with my advisors. My advisors, they sent me a message straight away. And they had a different view on how I went about with the interview. So I spent my time explaining to them that actually we hold same views. We're just using different words. I then spoke to you on Sunday morning, and this is what you said. You said to me, Facebook has said that interview was watched 3 times more than any other interview in the last 30 days in that period when we spoke, between the interview and the period which we spoke. And you then went on to say, I don't know why doesn't ZANU employ you? And I said, but I'm not ZANU. Why would they employ me? You said, yeah, but you're good for the country. And then I realized that you are using these two institutions interchangeable, ZANU and government or the country, which is not necessarily the same. And that is the problem that a lot of people had last week. When I advanced our positions as a party, they quickly jumped and say, you are now speaking on behalf of ZANU. And that's the gravest error they are making. I'm speaking on behalf of Zimbabwe. Or put it differently, I'm speaking on behalf of Zimbabweans that are suffering. Now, I have a document which was done in 2018, sorry, in 2008. This document was done between ZANU-PF, MDCT, and MDC Green. So this document was the Global Political Agreement. And I'm about to go with you what President Tsvangirai and his contemporaries said on this question of sanctions. Because you see, a lot of people like to make pronouncements, especially about us. They like to go to the lower, to the very, very lowest. You know, Dr. Khupe has a relationship with ET and whatever, instead of trying to engage substantively with the matters that are proposed. So now here on the subject of sanctions, ZANU-PF had a position, MTCT had a position, MTC green-led by Professor Mutambara at the time had a position. And I want to read something. Article 1V, sanctions and measures. That's what it says. Sanctions and measures. Recognizing and acknowledging that some sanctions of the international community have since the year 2000 imposed various sanctions and measures against Zimbabwe, which have included targeted sanctions, right? 4.2. The parties note that the present economic and political isolation of Zimbabwe by the United Kingdom, European Union, United States of America, and other sections of the international community over and around issues of disputed elections, governance, and differences over the land reform program. 4.3. Noting and acknowledging that the following sanctions and measures imposed on Zimbabwe: A, enactment of the Zimbabwe Democratic and Economic Recovery Act of the United States of America Congress, that's the ZITERA, which outlaws Zimbabwe's right, this is now important, Zimbabwe's right to access credit from international financial institutions in which the United States government is represented or has a stake. B, suspension of Zimbabwe's voting and related rights, suspension of balance of payment support, declaration of ineligibility to borrow fund resource, and suspension of technical assistance to Zimbabwe by the International Monetary Fund. C, suspension of grants and infrastructure development support to Zimbabwe by the World Bank. D, imposition of targeted travel bans against current government and some business leaders. 4.4, noting, this is why I wanted to read this, because this was our position as a party then in 2008. Noting that this international isolation has over the years created a negative international perception of Zimbabwe, and thereby resulting in the further isolation of the country by the non-availing of lines of credit to Zimbabwe by some sections of the international community. 4.5, recognizing the consequent contribution of this isolation to the further decline of the economy, desirous and committed to bringing to an end the fall in the standards of the living of our people. The parties hereby agree. What did they agree? Now, they want to bring about the end and the fall of the living standards of our people, right? This is what the parties agree. A, to endorse the SADC resolution on sanctions concerning Zimbabwe. What is that? B, that all forms, all means all, by the way, all forms of measures and sanctions against Zimbabwe be lifted in order to facilitate a sustainable solution to the challenges that are currently facing Zimbabwe. C, commit themselves to working together in re-engaging the international community with a view to bringing to an end the country's international isolation. That's the end. We're done with the issue of sanctions. No qualification at all. And that's the position that I presented last week. And you can see that Dr. Khupe has even improved on this position, because having proposed, or rather having advanced a position that says remove sanctions without conditions, but she later addresses the issue of Zimbabwe must also address the issues that brought about the sanctions, which is not here on the political agreement. So I thought that was important. Before people say, Dr. Khupe, this and this, Puken, this and that, this MTCT is a project of ZANU, for them to appreciate that this is not a new position. This has always been the position of the MTCT in recognizing the suffering of ordinary men and women that these sanctions have brought about. I thank you, Kambako. Let me address your question. Your question was the police letter to us as MTCT to the effect that we cannot hold our provincial council, the nomination, provincial nomination pursuant to our extraordinary Congress. Yes, they cited that because of COVID restrictions and the climate prevailing in the country, we cannot, under such circumstances, hold any provincial nomination.
Okay. So how are you going to be holding your nominations? And as we speak right now, how far is the processes?
I am not sure as to how we will respond, because it will be presumptuous of me now to forward a solution before I even engage my leadership. So this came after the standing committee. So we will attend to this when we sit in our weekly standing committee.
Okay. Is it possible that the extraordinary Congress is going to fail to take place?
It's conceivable. It's conceivable if you consider that ZANU-PF has since indefinitely postponed its annual conference. And it makes sense. I have spoken even on this platform and many other platforms. If you look at what the government is doing, the leadership they have offered on this matter of COVID, really, I wish it could be produced or replicated in other areas where government leadership is in question or is absent completely. You know, they've done so well. And you can see when it comes to casualties, we are almost, if you compare with other countries, it's like we don't have casualties at all. And that is not an accident. It is a deliberate action of leadership.
Okay.
Can I ask you something? Can you go on a short break? I need to open the house. Somebody is coming in and I locked my house already.
Okay. Let me just find something to play here in the meantime.
30 seconds.
Waiting for you.
Yeah, just 30 seconds.
Okay.
I'll be back. I'm just opening.
Okay, it's fine. I'm just gonna take over here so that we let Mr. Pugeni do what he needs to do. And today we're asking him a number of questions, and they're very, very important questions. So let's see. He's back. He's back. Yeah. So Mr. Pugeni, you're back. You can continue. You were saying that the Congress is going to be, it's possible that it may be postponed again. And we were saying the government has done a good job in managing COVID. I think that's where we were.
Yeah, they've done a sterling job. I always make reference to this. You ought to look at those countries that did not follow World Health Organization guidelines or the scientific evidence we have at our disposal of social distancing, avoiding gatherings of any nature, avoid gatherings. I heard this morning that the United Kingdom is going into a 1-month lockdown, complete lockdown. So basically, all of those things, they speak to the dangers of this pandemic. So I really don't have a problem with the police actions on this. For me, they were predictable, because if you go and gather in the manner that we should gather and people start dropping dead, surely we'll have problems there.
Okay. So I want to ask you another question related to that. The borders are going to be opening on the 1st of December. Why can't you hold your nominations by electronic means and do a proper extraordinary Congress in December, because the borders will be opened?
No, it does not follow that because the borders are opened, then therefore gatherings will be allowed. Because remember, Kambakwe, the conference of the ruling party was supposed to be in December, and they've postponed it indefinitely. So it is a waste of time and resources to be working on something that you can see that if the ruling party indefinitely postpones its own annual gathering, how will they give you the opportunity to gather, at least from a logic point of view? So I'm not sure why so much energy must be expanded towards this, but this is just an individual view for now. Like I said to you, the standing committee is yet to deliberate on these matters.
Okay, the concern that people have got is that Dr. Khupe is acting for a long, long time without a determination being made as to who is going to be the substantive leader of the MDCT. It's a problem to many people, especially the members, because she has been away and she came back. Don't you see that as an issue which needs to be wrapped up as quickly as possible?
No. Don't pass malicious propaganda as fact. I don't know what you mean when saying she has been away, because I think the Supreme Court judgment, we have canvassed that over and over again. So now this new position that you want to bring, Dr. Khupe did not just appear from nowhere. Maybe a bit of a lesson here. When we went to our 2014 Congress, the party had to choose our best foot forward, which was Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai. The party was also aware that in the event that Dr. Tsvangirai is not there, we need our second best foot forward, which will then become our best foot forward in his absence. The party then elected Dr. Khupe. So it must come as no surprise to anyone and pretend as if she was appointed by some external authority somewhere. No, she is a product of Congress, which elected her and said, in the absence of Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai, you are best foot forward. So there is nothing amiss here. There is nothing to panic about. In any event, COVID is a global pandemic. Why do you want to behave as if COVID only affects the MDCT? It doesn't only affect the MDCT. I spoke about the interviews that me and you are doing. You and me used to sit together, talk, go for interviews together. But because of COVID, that is not possible anymore. Companies are holding their meetings now online. The MDCT is holding its national councils online.
Okay, I think let's agree that this is the position, and the explanation you're giving is reasonable. So let's go to the next thing, which is Harvest House. What is happening at Harvest House?
What is happening at Harvest House is that we have since regained control of Harvest House. But clearly the threats of lawlessness by our Eastwell comrades are still present. So I'm sure that there is something that the SG and those that are within that cluster of security are working on to see that there is a permanent solution. We don't want two steps back, forwards, and then 3 steps backwards, and then 1 step forward, and then another backwards. So they are looking at that very, very closely. Very soon I should be able to make a pronouncement.
Okay, so as we speak right now, the youths that were inside Harvest House are still sitting inside Harvest House.
I do not know, number one. Number two, last time perhaps we communicated too much and our security was compromised. So I am very weary of communicating too much matters of security. Suffice to say, we are in control and we are working on a permanent solution that we do not find ourselves in the same position that we did a few weeks ago.
Okay, and then let's go to the issue of the recalls. This week, more people were recalled. If I'm not mistaken, someone was recalled in Hwange. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are there more people who were recalled this week? What is the position on recalls?
No, I will be honest with you. And I'm a bit ashamed because I didn't make a follow-up I did not attend this week's standing committee, but I attended the workshop which we did immediately after the standing committee. So I didn't make a follow-up. So I really do not know anything about what you're talking about with regards to recalls of this week.
Okay. Then there's obviously the issue of job scholar. You had an interview at Hearts and Soul TV. I think that was Blessed Mhlanga, where you said job scholar was now on your side, or on Dr. Khupe's side. But then he turned around and said he is with Chamisa 100%. And I just finished talking to Job Scholar now. And in his own words, he said he does not care about being recalled because his politics is not about being in parliament. What action are you going to take against Job Scholar and Joanna Mamombe, who have said they are not members of MDCT?
Okay, I think I have advanced this position very strongly here on the platform as far as Honorable Mamombe is concerned. I'm extremely uncomfortable every day to be asked the same question about one person, and I keep telling you that it is not in my nature, number one, and it is inconsistent with the values of the party to be talking about someone, especially in the case of Honorable Mamombe, who's going through medical treatment right now. All she needs is a solidarity. She really does not need her name to be discussed every day in the media. So be content with that answer. It will not change unless the circumstances change. But as far as I know,
there's a law, Mr. Pugen, there's a law that said once a member of parliament has been declared mentally unfit, they cannot be in parliament. I think ZANU-PF MPs produced that law sometime this week.
Well, I do not know, and I do not think that she has been declared thus. But like I said, all I know is that she's going through medical treatment. And when you're going through medical treatment, it means that there is an opportunity, or there is a probability that you are going to be well. That's why it's called medical treatment. So I don't understand the obsession. It's unhealthy. It's very, very unhealthy. What is the obsession with this young honorable member of parliament? Let's just give her the space. Come on, how is she supposed to get well when all the media houses are so much obsessed about her? Just give her room. Allow her to heal. Once she has healed, then we can have this discussion.
Okay, let's go to Scala. Let's go to Scala. I think we've made your point. Let's go to Job Scala. Job Scala has said he does not belong to MDCT. I just talked to him and he said the same. Why are you not recalling him?
Look, on Job Scala, I'm glad you listened to my interview with Blessed. I advanced the reasons why Job Scala was not recalled. He then turned and said, I tried to be spokesperson. And then I think he realized later. So I saw another interview today when I could see that, okay, now I understand issues. I never spoke on his behalf. I never said anything about him. I cited the SG. And to the extent that Job Scala is correct in saying he has never said he's working with us, I commend him for that. I commend him for his honesty. So I saw another headline again from another platform where the SG was quoted as saying he will not hesitate to recall Job Scala. Unfortunately, I didn't have an opportunity to go through that. So I would like to think that natural processes will take their course, since what we knew about him seems not to hold. So I really do not know. I have communicated the official position of the party, which has not changed. I must hasten to say this to you, Kambako. I have promised, and this was, it was not induced by anyone. It was unprovoked. The promise that I will not lie, I will not do propaganda, I will not obfuscate, I will not use the bully pulpit for anything other than sharing information with the public. and marketing my party. And that's exactly what I did on this matter. Because Blessed Mhlanga, say whatever you want to say of him. You know, a lot of people think so much of him. I've received so many calls. Others are even in the media fraternity saying, don't take interviews with that guy. I actually differ. I actually think the interview we did this past time was better, especially on this question of church. It was a very intelligent question, which a lot of nominal listeners didn't get what he asked me. This is a case he was making. He said, you guys claim to be constitutionalist, when in reality you are not. You are selective in how you carry out the processes and the constitution of the party. You are very selective. You have people that you protect. You have people that you choose. And then he went further to say, in the example of Job Seeker, he says his alliance. He says he supports Chamisa. What say you? You see? So you could not answer that question without dealing with every one of those things that he raised. I know that others would like me to just gloss over the thing and go away. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that with Blessed. I wouldn't do that with you. I wouldn't do that with any other journalist. And I'll tell you why. Sometimes it's got nothing to do with you as journalists, but it's got everything to do with the listeners at home. There is the issue of data, very expensive data. So the mere fact that people watch us, that tells you that there's a sacrifice there. That interview was a 60 minutes interview. That's another resource which is scarce. So people are putting up their time. They are using their data to listen. The least we can do is to respect them and give them honest and open answers. And that is what you'll always get from me.
Okay, so Job Scala is going to be recalled as according to the SG, but you have not confirmed. We should expect that soon.
I have not confirmed. Like I said to you, I think this issue of Job Sikala is maybe, let me say, it's above my pay grade. You probably need to get hold of the SG.
But the SG never talked to anyone. I have not seen the SG talking to anyone on issues for almost a month now.
All right, here's my point, Kambako. Our position is clear. Anyone who is no longer a member of the MTCT, they have summarily expelled themselves. You see? And they have no business or reason representing us as our public representatives. So I expect the same to happen with anyone. Forget names, with anyone. If that does not happen, then the accusation by Blessed is true. And then it's offensive to people like myself, because I have to stand here and face all these questions from you on something that should be on very simple. You see, last week when we're going to Harare with Madam President, we passed in Kweru, we passed in Kwekwe, meeting councillors. A group was later opened by some people aligned to some presidential candidate, very angry that Madam President exercised lenience with regards to the councillors we met in Kweru and Kwekwe, who said, no, we took time to understand, we now understand the Supreme Court judgment. But the same attitude is not seen to be applied when it comes to this very same matter that we are talking about. So you can't have one person publicly denounce the party, publicly say, I belong to another party, which party have recalled a lot of people on the account of belonging there. And then you seem to be stuck on one person.
Is this not opening you up?
It's an insult to Zimbabweans.
Okay, is this not opening you up to the accusation that you are taking instructions from ZANU-PF? Because if you recall everyone,
how does ZANU-PF?
Well, I need to explain. I need to explain. Okay. If you recall everyone, you are going to trigger a mini election. Is that not what you're trying to avoid?
No. Why everyone? I've just explained to you that we've been consulting with people and people claiming that they are with us, right? Now, if you are saying there's a public position that says, I am not with you, obviously natural processes that have occurred on others must occur. When I explained to Blessed Mhlanga, I made a justification on why the recall had not happened yet. He also, like you, asked me on Honorable Mamom, and I told you why that has not happened.
Okay, what about the people who walked out of parliament when Dr. Khupe was talking?
Who?
In parliament, the people walked out during the speech of Dr. Khupe.
Well, I didn't see them. Like I told you, I went to Harare. I think I got there on Thursday morning, if not Wednesday night. So I haven't had the opportunity to see that. I did not sit in the standing committee. To the extent that your allegations are true, I'm sure they will be discussed in the next standing committee. But for me, it's neither here nor there. I think her speech was well received. I think she's the first opposition leader to receive a standing ovation after a powerful speech which she presented. And I was hoping we will get to that speech. But right now we're busy discussing the peripherals.
We are getting there. That's why we're now going to parliament. She obviously made a statement that she's going to dialogue with Mnangagwa, but she's already dialoguing with him. What different dialogue is she going to go into?
No, remember, she is dialoguing with him right now under the banner of Pollard. And as you know, for a long time, we have not been able to attend Pollard because we were seized with the issue of the EOC. But as she was speaking there in Parliament, saying she's going to dialogue, she was talking as the leader, as the official leader of the opposition in Parliament. That's what she meant. So in that capacity, that's what she's going to remember. Our recently ended National Council, it endorsed any form of dialogue. It says we'll support any dialogue. Any dialogue, we'll support it. So I have seen you sometimes report Dr. Khupe apart from Pollard and whatsoever. It's that's malicious propaganda. The National Council has just resolved that the MDCT, it supports any form of dialogue in this country. So that includes Pollard.
I get you, and I think we'll have to have a chat with the people in Pollard, because Pollard has been extremely quiet. I have not seen a statement from Pollard or an update since you left the position of Pollard spokesperson. What is happening there?
Well, like my president, I just have not been attending. I have not left, so to speak, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's just a matter of officializing it that I have left. But what I will do is I will speak to the chairperson of the communications committee where I belong, and I'll speak to him and make him available for you to interview him. It will be presumptuous of me to try and speak authoritatively so or at length about Pollard, because I think the last time I was at Pollard, I think it was February, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it should have been February, around about there, or March, but I haven't been at Pollard for quite a long time.
Okay, so I'll be reminding you, obviously, to give us that contacts of the people who are in Pollard. I want to invite them here so that we continue our weekly discussions on Pollard, because obviously people want to know. Yes, and then let's look at the dialogue that Dr. Khupe is talking about. A very popular newspaper called ZimEye published this week that Dr. Khupe plans to go into a GNU with Mnangagwa and postpone the 2023 elections. Is that the dialogue that they are talking about? What kind of dialogue are we looking at here?
No, it's a stereotype. You see, it's a stereotype that says these people are not Democrats. These people are not interested in entrenching democracy and going back to the people to get their mandate. Why impose words on her when she spoke on a national platform? She was recorded. She made a very compelling speech, and she articulated what she wants to do. She says, number one, she's taking her role, our role as public representatives seriously, and we're going to do that in Parliament. We are taking our legislative role seriously, and we're going to do that, and the people will see. And she says, we are also going to take our role of holding the government to account seriously. And she says, we want to change the type of politics, that the opposition must accept its role to bring about political stability in the country. Because there will be no economic stability or growth when there is political instability. And it does not pay. You know, our people do not eat this nonsense of walking out in Parliament, drowning each other, howling at each other. What our people eat are well thought out arguments. What our people want to see, they want to see their government held to account. Because you know, it doesn't matter which government, by the way, you know that power corrupts and ultimate power corrupts ultimate. Now, go to the councils, just go to the councils and look at the rot and look at the accusations of corruption. Just look at what is happening there. You probably would have heard that on Friday, is it Friday or Thursday, that the ZAC or the police swept into the Harare Council, arrested all the councillors and all the staff there. Do you know why? Because there are about 25 staff that have been suspended on allegations of corruption. And the Harare City Council was losing a lot of money. And so they decided to bring them because they're paying them. So that whilst they are working, then disciplinary processes can take their course. You see? And then the resident minister didn't understand that. And then he sent the police there. Now, there's a point that I'm making here. I'm saying to you, we are starting to clean because we have just come in now. We've just come in now. But if you look at the rot of councils throughout the country, and who was running councils, that's your favorite. So I'm saying to you, our role as parliamentarians is to hold whoever is in power accountable and make sure that the people get what is due to them.
Okay, I don't think that is what many people want to hear. Many people want to see a big change. And I think I speak for every Zimbabwean. When people think of dialogue, they're not talking about Dr. Khupe sitting in Parliament and yourself and people like Chief sitting in the Senate. They want to see a change of the system, which is what dialogue people are looking for. They want something that will transform their lives. And
but you are quoting,
this is what
from a speech, Mnangagwa. She spoke of transformation. She spoke of changing people's lives. How do you change people's lives? By making sure that the leakages, you'll remember as she was speaking in Parliament about the leakages in the gold trade, someone was being arrested for illicitly trading in gold, right? So those are the things that we're going to do. We're going to make sure that there are no cracks where the public purse is looted, so that people begin to benefit from there. Now, I'll tell you what is the challenge in this country. The challenge in this country, and I've paid a heavy price for it personally and even my part, we have tried to remove the pressure, the tension, as it were, and almost try and humanize the ruling party, which for a long time have been dehumanized. Now, when you do that, when your politics, because there is room for us to differ ideologically, but still be able to do something for the country. This whole thing that says, because it's ZANU, then therefore treat them like pariah, treat them like they have leprosy, so many meters, if not kilometers, away from each other. If you behave like that, if you isolate yourself, you isolate the people you represent from the government of the day.
Okay, can I go in and explain to you what Zimbabweans want?
Okay.
Zimbabweans want cash in the bank. They want cash to come out of the ATM so that they can withdraw their money at the end of the month and they use it. They want stable prices. They want hospitals to work. They want people who are corrupt in government to be caught and to be arrested and to be convicted. I can go on. That is the transformation that we want.
But that's exactly what Dr. Khupe addressed in her speech. Did you listen to the speech, sir?
But how is she going to do it when she's an opposition MP?
No, but she spoke about dialoguing with the president. Those are the issues that she's going to go and bring on the table. Right.
Correct. To what end? What is the objective?
The objective, let me tell you what is the objective. The objective is to bring food to people's tables. The objective is not for people to withdraw cash at the end of the month, but it's for people to withdraw cash as and when they want it. The objective, I said it here on your platform the other day, where I had to pay $700 US to get my aunt operated. That must come to an end. As a matter of fact, I think the health sector, they are still on strike. The objective is to bring that strike to an end and give our people a decent healthcare system. And that is what she wants to talk to the president about. It has less to do with being given a position, but more. But
I disagree with you. I disagree with you.
On what basis?
You represent a constituency. You cannot just walk to the president and negotiate without getting a feel of what your constituents want. The MDC Alliance of Nelson Chamisa, they are clear. They want a national transitional authority to solve all the problems. Is your position that you want a GNU and postponement of the 2023 elections?
No, but that's a different argument that you are bringing from what I was articulating to you. But to answer you directly, no, there is no such a position. That's not. You see, the problem is you are framing this. You are simply saying to us, we will not be able to achieve this unless we go for what you've offered that the alliance is offering, which I've repudiated several times on this platform, or we go for a postponement of the 2023 elections and then we get into a GNU. I do not know of anything of such nature. But what I do know is that as a leader of opposition in parliament, she indeed has the capacity to sit with the leader of the country and begin to go through on the myriad of challenges that the country is facing and begin to proffer solutions to say, here, I think this is what we must do. Here, I think this is what we must do. And there is room for us to do that. And that is what we want to do.
Okay, so do you have a policy document that has been seen by your members which deal with each issue that she's going to present to the president?
No, I'll put it to you this way. Remember, as MDCT, we have always had policies. And some of the policies the government has implemented at different or at various times, and they've worked. So those policies are there. The National Council and even Congress of 2014, it basically empowered leadership to engage the government of the day. This is a 2014 Congress resolution. Go and engage the government of the day. Now, you are putting the cart before the horse, which is the problem. What that engagement will yield is another thing altogether. But for now, give us the room, give us the time, give us the necessary support to be involved in that engagement.
Okay, but you're already in Poland. Is there going to be a different platform or it's going to be Poland?
But I've already
answered to people.
But I've already answered that question, Kambakwe. Poland is a different platform together. That's why we say we support any forms of engagement. In her speech, she was speaking as the leader of opposition in the House or in Parliament. She was speaking as the leader of opposition. And she says, I am going to engage the President of the Republic. It's a necessary platform. You will recall, or I want you to take judicial notice, the President in his State of the Nation address, he did address the speaker, he did address the chief justice, addressed ministers. He did also acknowledge and address the leader of the opposition, Dr. Thokozani Khupe. So basically, she said she's bringing about a new type of politics, that it is not necessary that the leader of the opposition must have an unhealthy relationship with the leader of the country. It does not help. That doesn't happen in other countries. In other countries, those people get along so well.
Okay, I don't feel I don't feel answered in terms of how she intends to achieve the dialogue. I feel like there's an unanswered question there. Is she going to propose it? Is she going to go back to the members and ask whether they want to dialogue? How is it going to come about?
The members have already empowered the leadership to dialogue. They did it at Congress. In this past National Council, they did it as well. Go and dialogue on behalf of the people. She said it at the National Assembly that she is going to dialogue. I do not know why people must be suspicious of the dialogue and begin to come up with the solutions to say, oh, this is where we are going. She told you why she's dialoguing. She's dialoguing to bring about a better life for everyone. She went further to say 14 point, I can't remember point what, million Zimbabweans. So basically, she's dialoguing for each and every Zimbabwean.
And it's possible that she can come up with the solution that there must be GNU and no elections in 2023.
I wouldn't even dignify that with an answer. I'll tell you why. Because I have heard it used as a propaganda machinery against us. So I will not sit here and dignify it with any confirmation or any serious thought to it. Because she's clear why she's going to that dialogue. She's going to that dialogue, and she made it clear for everyone. We are going to take our representative role serious. We're going to take our legislative role serious. We're going to take our role of holding the government accountable serious. She's going to do that. But in a dialogue, it's possible that the ruling party can say, well, look, don't you think it's better, or don't you think we can achieve A, B, C, D if we do this and that? That's all there is to it.
Okay, let's go to dialogue with Chamisa. If you're willing to dialogue with Mnangagwa, what is the position on dialogue with Chamisa and his party?
We are clear. You see, I think I've said this over and over again. Anyone who wants to come and join the big tent must come. They must just come.
How can Chamisa come?
Well, he can elect whichever branch he wants to belong to, and he can go and be part of that branch.
Okay, so basically you've closed the door on Chamisa because
why?
You have already given him the solution. You are not creating a platform to discuss with Chamisa, but you are creating a platform to discuss with Mnangagwa.
Yeah, no, it's simple. The ED is a president of the republic. That's where power is, eh? Power to deliver for our people. Now, I know where you're driving me to. You want me to be reckless with power. If you are reckless with power, let me just give you an example. Electricity, which you all have. In other houses where they use it in a very reasonable manner, it's a very, very good resource. We don't have problems. Right now, me and you are talking because of power. We have lights on and everything. Start putting water here everywhere and having open live wires and whatever. You will see what will happen. So I see where people expect us to behave very reckless with power. What that will do is it will leave us irrelevant, and it will leave our people worse off. And if you want a good lesson, a fresh lesson. Look at the men we are advocating that we start talking to.
Okay. I think we've covered about 10 issues that I wanted us to cover. And I do not want us to keep people too much. It's a Sunday and everyone has to go to work. So let's recap, and then I'll give you a chance to wrap up. So on dialogue with Idi Mnangagwa, you said that's definitely going to happen, but outside Poland. On the postponement of election, you said this is not the plan that Dr. Khupe has got, but if it comes up during discussions, it will be discussed. Banning of the Congress gathering, you said yes, the Congress gathering was banned by police, and it's possible that the MDCT Congress could be postponed further, just like the ZANU-PF one was postponed. On Harvest House, you said that you've taken control back of Harvest House. You just want to confirm if the youths are still in or out. On recalls, you said everyone who is no longer a member of the MDCT is going to be recalled, including people like Scala. You expect them to be recalled to be consistent. But on Joanna Mamombe, you said she's sick and she needs to get treatment, and you will not be dealing with that issue during these interviews. But obviously, I expect the Secretary General to make his own pronouncements on this issue. Then on the Extraordinary Congress, we've already said, obviously, that this could be postponed indefinitely. On dialogue with Chamisa, you said he needs to go to a branch and join a branch. And then on Henrietta Lushoya, you said Dr. Khupe is against all forms of corruption, and she's against what happened there. And I think you saw today, this afternoon, the First Lady issued a statement, Auxilia Mnangagwa. I don't know if you saw that statement.
All right. No, I've not seen the statement. I've not seen the statement.
Okay, she's also against corruption. She's not part of it, according to her own statement. So I think everyone agrees that corruption, smuggling of gold is not allowed, is not good. People must be charged. And the bail hearing for that case is tomorrow. Yeah. So from what I've said here,
my lights are flashing, which tells me that we're going to be off anytime from now. Let me quickly just sweep up on certain things that you imposed. Correct. I never said Job Sikala will be recalled. I simply said you'll have to now ask the SG. I just forwarded the party position that should apply to everyone across board. So I was careful not to mention his name. I also never excluded Poland. I simply say the National Council endorsed all forms of negotiations. And I was specific to say it also includes Poland. And then I said, when she was speaking about engaging the president, basically she was talking about engaging the government. And she's talking in a capacity as the official leader, or rather as the leader of the official opposition, or as the leader of the opposition in parliament. And that is what she's going to do. I think we must not rush to say that is the end goal of a GNU postponement of elections. I don't even think there's a basis for that. What is important is to accept that she's going to do this for the 14.6 or whatever millions of Zimbabweans that have their dignity and their livelihoods eroded, not only by corona, but by the faltering economy and many other issues that are affecting our country.
Okay. My concern with what approach she's using is the lack of consultation. How are you going to deal with the issue of consultation? You've got a lot of people that voted for Nelson Chamisa. He says 2.6 million. How are you going to cater for those people in the approach to dialogue with Mnangagwa?
No, I think we can agree on one thing. Everyone wants a better life. There's no dispute there. So, and she made it clear that she's going to dialogue for a better life for everyone. So let's see if the illusional 2.6 million people will reject a better life because they were not consulted before dialoguing with the president of the country.
I'm afraid that we are in for a surprise. And I think everyone here is concerned that we're going to get a surprise. out of that dialogue that is going to be held without consultation, without a position paper, without knowing what date starts, without knowing what platform is going to be used?
No, but you are already framing it in a wrong manner. I told you that leaders in democratic societies, leaders of official leaders or leaders of the official.
Well, I think we've lost Mr. Pugeni, and this normally happens a lot when I'm talking to him, and he's in Zimbabwe. I think what we need to do is we need to bring him back during the week. We have covered quite a lot of issues, but I'm still not satisfied with how the dialogue is going to happen. So maybe we need to bring him, and also if we can get hold of the Secretary General and maybe the President herself, so that she can talk on this issue. I think it's very important for people to know what is going to happen. So I'm not going to take any more of your time. Thank you very much for watching. And if you're watching this on YouTube and Facebook, please like, comment, and share, and go to our website, kambakwe.com. Thank you very much, everybody. And I don't think there's any comment here that I want to read. It's clear that there's a lot of people that support Chamisa. They also always say something about, okay, look at this comment here. Khupe was not even voted by the majority, and so on and so on. So this is generally what the Chamisa people will say, and the other people on the other side will say, let's dialogue, let's move on. So that's basically what we have in front of us. So thank you very much for watching. I'll try to bring Mr. Kalipani Pugeni again during the week, and we'll continue to talk. Thank you very much, and